Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Aditi Ghosh on your favorite numerology channel, Inner World Revealed. And in this vlog, we're going to advance our understanding of the Lo Shu square further. We're going to look at our lucky numbers through this Lo Shu grid. In my previous vlog, I explained to you the various patterns that can be formed by numbers when we put them in this grid. And you can watch this introductory vlog to the Lo Shu Grid technique by clicking on the I button. Today, before I talk about how you can evaluate your lucky numbers through this grid, let us go through a quick recapitulation of some of the basic ideas that we covered in the last vlog, and let us begin with the patterns once again in a little more details. So when you have numbers or even no numbers, pay attention. Either you can have numbers or you can have no numbers on all the boxes of the left column. It forms the pattern of thoughtfulness or lack of thoughtfulness. When you have no numbers, it forms the pattern of lack of thoughtfulness respectively. When you have numbers or even no numbers in all the boxes in the middle column, it forms the pattern of willpower or lack of willpower respectively. When you have numbers or even no numbers in all the boxes in the last right column, it forms the pattern of positive approach towards life or even lack of positive approach towards life when you have no numbers out there. Now, when we come to the rows, when we consider the top row and we have numbers, all the boxes full with numbers, it is indicative of being guided by the head. When we have no numbers out there, it would indicate lack of thought. Coming to the middle row right now, if we have numbers in all the boxes of the middle row, it would indicate being guided by the heart. And if you have no numbers, it would mean a little bit lack of emotions. Again, coming to the base row right now, if you have all the boxes full with numbers, it would indicate being guided by action. If you don't have numbers in any of these boxes, it would indicate lack of physical action in life. Now, coming to the diagonals, if you have numbers in all the boxes of the diagonal going from the bottom left to the top right, it would indicate willpower. If you have no numbers in these boxes, it would indicate lack of willpower. Similarly, we have the other diagonal which comes from the top left and goes to the bottom right, and if you have numbers, all the boxes are full with numbers, it would indicate having spiritual outlook towards life. And if you have no numbers in these boxes, it would indicate that you're a bit skeptical or practically bent. Now, as I said, you can have either the numbers in all the boxes forming a pattern, or you may also have no numbers at all in any of these boxes. And when you will have all the boxes full, we say that it forms a positive pattern, while when you have all the boxes empty in a particular row, column or diagonal, we say that it forms a negative pattern. So you can be having a positive pattern of something and a negative pattern of something in your chart. For instance, if we consider the date of birth 4th of March 2008, and if we put all the numbers from this date into the grid, we're going to find a positive pattern of thoughtfulness, while a negative pattern of willpower can also be seen. So we can definitely conclude that even though the person is very thoughtful and uses his mind very strongly, but he lacks a bit of determination. But also we cannot conclude that he completely lacks determination, because willpower is also visible, because we have two numbers in the willpower diagonal. Out there we have two numbers. Now, if we consider another example of a person who's born on the 10th of July 1983 and again place the numbers from this date of birth into the grid, we would see that we have a negative pattern of spirituality out here, but we cannot pinpoint a particular positive pattern forming strongly. But does that mean that this person does not have any positive qualities? We cannot say that. We can definitely say that this person is very active, because even though we do not have a strong positive pattern forming, but we definitely can say that this person is guided by action, because there are 3 values in this base row and this base row is heavy. This person listens to his or her heart before their mind, but also at the same time is very practical. The person does not believe much in the higher realms of spirituality, and they would like to go for hard facts. However, when the matters of heart are concerned, the person could seem to be quite emotional. We can also see that. And this is how we can place the numbers basically from our date of birth, and we can place them into the Lo Shu Grid and evaluate. Now let us forward this understanding of the Lo Shu Grid to the pattern of numbers that reappear in our lives. We can also call them our lucky numbers, because important events seem to be happening or could be related to these numbers. Now, I've already told you in the introductory log only that any number that we have an encounter with can be evaluated through this Lo Shu Grid technique. It really does not necessarily need to be a number from your date of birth or your name. It can be any number that you have an encounter with. And you may find a pattern of numbers, which are cropping up in your life repeatedly. For instance, for me, 1, 22, 28, 14 have been repeatedly cropping up in my life. Throughout my school life, my roll number used to be 1. So 1 was, very closely related to me. It never changed. My son then on was born on the 22nd. We happened to buy our house on the 28th of a particular month, and we shifted to our house 3 years after that on the 28th of the same month. Coincidentally, we did not plan it. And presently I live in the house number 14. So you have to figure out what are the numbers that have been following you. For instance, these were the numbers that are following me for a very long time now. So you have to find out what are the numbers that are following you. There could be some numbers that followed you in the past and are now no more following you. They are probably replaced by some new numbers, but there are bound to be some numbers that are reappearing. Consciously or unconsciously, you're repeatedly encountering these numbers. So what you need to do is you have to consider 5 or 6 digits that are associated with you strongly right now. Consider the digit that probably you are seeing as your bus number, or probably you're pressing that digit repeatedly in the elevator. You can consider these digits. You can consider your car number digits or your house number digits, and you can also see some important dates where some important events have happened. Say for instance, the numbers are 24, 15 and 9. What you need to do is you have to put them in the grid with respect to the permanent placement of the numbers which you have. And after doing that, you would get an arrangement like this for the numbers 24, 15 and 9. And from this arrangement, you can quickly find the patterns that are forming out here. You can see that we have a positive pattern of being ruled by head, and again a positive pattern of showing willpower. Now, what you have to do is you have to compare this pattern that is formed by your numbers with the pattern that is formed by the numbers in your date of birth. Say if you're born on the 23rd of April 2000, then we're going to have an arrangement like this formed by the numbers from your date of birth. Now what we have to do is we have to spot the patterns in the birth number grid as well as this lucky number grid, and we have to do a comparison. You will see that a negative arrow is replaced by a positive arrow, while some numbers are repeated also out here. What we can conclude out here is some qualities that you were lacking has been enhanced, and some issues that you were facing when you were born are also being resolved. For instance, we can clearly spot the negative pattern of willpower being replaced by a positive pattern of willpower. So we can see a huge difference in your approach over time. This lucky number grid that you have formed is your present state of consciousness, and the birth number grid that you formed is the consciousness that you were born with. So there's a huge difference. In the same way, you can go on creating more grids like this with the pattern of numbers that you have been repeatedly encountering before this moment in your life as well. If you remember these numbers, keep creating these grids and you'll see a very interesting story unfolding before you. The numbers contained in your birth number grid is the root cause which has begun the story, and the present grid is the present state of being once again. So how did you travel from here to here? It would be reflected by the grids that would be formed in the middle period. You would notice that from time to time the areas you were deficient in have been changing, and you have been needing different numbers at different points in life, and the numbers simply appeared to you from nowhere. So, dear people, work out with these interesting grids formed by the numbers that have been reappearing in your life, and let me know what your fascinating finds are in the comment section. I'd be quite interested to learn about your experience of the Lo Shu Grid technique. If you have liked watching this log, you may also find the Pythagorean birth chart technique very interesting, and you can watch the birth chart playlist by clicking on the I button. If you are new to numerology and are much interested in learning the basics of numerology, you can definitely check my book All is One, which deals with Pythagorean numerology basics for beginners. You can then advance your understanding of Pythagorean numerology by reading Cycle of 9, which is all about time correction and being there in the right place at the right time. Before you go, remember to click the like button and also subscribe to my channel to keep in touch. Click the notifications button so that you receive a notification whenever I upload a new log. That'll be all for today. Have a very good time. Bye bye.